Hi, and welcome back. Can you believe it? This is the last episode of season 1. 10 episodes have absolutely flown by. I've been so blown away by all of the love and support I've received throughout this first season. I already know this community is going to keep growing, and I can't wait to see it happen. I truly appreciate every single one of you. To stay in the loop for season 2, including exciting pre-season giveaways and more, be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram and subscribe to my newsletter. You'll be the first to know when we're back. Now for the season finale. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that touches so many of us, yet we often struggle to talk about it openly. Grief and the relentless calendar of significant dates. You know, for a long time, I heard the same thing. The first year after a loss is the hardest. However, my therapist warned me that often the anticipation leading up to the 1-year mark and other dates might actually feel more intense than the day itself. And she was right. There's this immense unspoken pressure to do it right, to find the perfect way to honor the death anniversaries and birthdays of those we've lost. But what if you haven't found that routine? What if those dates just hit you? I can tell you personally, before my mind even registers what tough date is approaching, my body knows. I become irritable, my fuse shortens, and I feel I'm just one gust of wind away from completely breaking down. And for me, it's compounded by the fact that my own birthday falls smack dab between my mom's death anniversary and my sister's. It's completely transformed how I feel about my birthday. It's hard to look forward to it when it just seems to amplify the sadness and the missing. Those dates associated with my mom and sister are incredibly difficult. And while I know there's no right way to honor them, the pressure I feel, and I know many of you feel it too, is undeniably real. It's almost like we're doing this grief math, calculating how long it's been, how many milestones have passed, and wondering if our sadness adds up correctly to the time that's gone by. The biggest misconception for me was this idea that things, quote, get better after the first year. For me, year 1 was a blur. And honestly, after that, it felt like a whole new wave of grief hit. It was the realization that after year 1, I could no longer look back at the last year's holidays, Christmas, birthdays, Thanksgivings, and remember my loved ones being present. It's a different kind of ache, a new layer of absence. If you've ever felt this way, if the calendar feels less like a guide and more like a minefield of memories, then you're in the right place. So stick with us today as myself and my guest explore how to navigate these challenging dates and find our own paths through persistent grief. This is Nothing Happens for a Reason. Maya, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Maya. I use they, them pronouns. I'm an addiction counselor. I'm a dog parent.
What's your experience with grief been?
Oh, well, my experience is that it's a lot. There's been a lot of grief and loss in my life. Yeah, a lot. I don't know if you want me to talk about all of it or just like
Wherever you want to start.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can jump around too.
Yeah.
It doesn't need. We know grief is not linear.
No, it
Right?
isn't.
So
I think we were talking about that just the other day, how much we both hate when people are like, oh, the stages of grief. And we're like, that's not fucking how it works.
Yeah.
Anyways,
No.
but yes, it's not linear. So it's all over. But yeah, I guess my first significant experience with grief was my dad dying when I was 21 of basically complications from alcoholism, which was like sudden but not surprising, I think, because he had been in the ICU when I was like in middle school, and they told him basically like if you keep drinking, you're gonna die. And
Mm.
I did it. So that was kind of the beginning of like the big grief.
Was your dad present in your life for the time that he died?
Yeah, he was. My parents split up when I was like 10, but I would see my dad on the weekends most of the time. There was a period of time when I did not go see him because my mom didn't feel like it was a good idea because he
Mm.
was drinking, I think. But he was pretty significant. I've had a long journey with my dad, like post his death too, just relationship shifting and my own personal experience with addiction and recovery.
Mhm.
Just thinking there's a period where I like felt really mad at him that he gave me addiction and that was it. And like,
It was his fault and the
yeah,
genetic
right.
components.
But then I realized there's like lots of things I got from him, that were very positive. Like community, building community, being able to connect with like an array of people.
Hmm.
Yeah, lots of different things. So my relationship with him after his death has really been significant, I think, too.
You've noticed an evolution in your relationship, even though he's not physically
Yeah,
here
for
anymore.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's I think, important piece about grief too.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it might be a positive experience. It sounds like you've been able to focus on, like you said, the positive qualities that you've gotten from
Hmm.
him and not just be mad and resentful.
Hmm.
Um, and also, right, it can go the other way. We find things out sometimes about people after they've died and
Hmm.
can also change our view of them,
Yeah.
which is also hard. Both are hard.
Yeah, it's so hard because you can't talk to them. Like, you can't, it's not like you can get answers in the
Mm,
way that sometimes I want to know what really happened or what the truth is. And like,
yeah.
there's not one truth anyways,
Mm,
Um,
mhm. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because yeah, I feel that a lot too with both my mom and my sister of like having these unanswered questions
mhm,
and wanting answers to them.
yeah,
And I know with clients that I've worked with, that's a big piece of this is I want to know. And right, sometimes people set out on these journeys of trying to figure out the answers through other people
yeah,
and the disappointment that can come from that, or maybe answers that they weren't wanting to find, or also it's just someone else's version of the story.
right,
And you still have questions afterwards too. So
right,
to me, right, there's that secondary loss part of this.
yeah,
Those are secondary losses of memories and the things that that person was the keeper of
mm,
that you'll just never know
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so much.
yeah, for sure.
Do you remember how were you told that your dad had died?
Well, I was at work and it was pre-cell phones, and I lived in Portland at the time. I had graduated and moved up here with a partner at the time, and my sister called my work and said, "You gotta come down, Dad's in the hospital."
Mm,
And so I flew down that night, and then as I got off the plane, and some friends of his that were friends of mine picked me up, and I knew immediately that he's dead. Like as soon as I
mm,
saw their faces, he had already passed, and so I didn't see him before he died, and see his body after he died. Yeah, which is I think significant because when he was in the hospital and he got out of the hospital when I was younger, I was like, I'm not. It was very traumatizing to see him in the ICU.
totally.
And I told him, if you drink again, I will not come visit you in the hospital. And
Mm,
then he fucking died in the hospital before I got there. 100% seen him in the hospital. Yeah,
mm.
again.
Yeah,
So
that like I don't want to fucking see you in the hospital. Is that a because it was so hard to see him in that state that that's not how you want to remember him? Was that kind of part of the avoidance of it?
I think it was that I see differently now as someone in recovery of like when you see someone you love in their addiction and how that impacts you and you doing things or saying things to try to get them to stop, and feel and understand how it's impacting you. Like it definitely as a kid I felt like I wasn't enough for him to quit. And I have a
Mm.
completely different understanding of addiction now, and I was like 13, or 12 or so, like, of course.
Felt personal.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
totally. So,
Yeah. That's such an important feeling, right? When somebody that we love dies from addiction,
Mm-hmm.
it makes things really complicated that maybe people who have never experienced that don't fully understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, and I talk about it in another episode also, but I had a ton of guilt and shame that my sister died from addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I do this for work. This is what I spend majority of my living, breathing days doing. And I must have done something wrong
Right.
because this happened.
Yeah.
And so even, right, you're saying when you're young, you have these feelings, you understand it better. But even for me, like I understand it logically. And still when it happens to someone you love,
Mm-hmm.
it feels personal and
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of logic in those moments
No.
around it. It still feels, yeah, like was I not enough
Yeah.
for my sister
Yeah.
through all of our conversations of my concerns?
Yeah.
Um, and I still feel that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
For
hard.
sure. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I think there is zero logic around grief,
Yeah.
which I think is something that I wish like the larger culture or the dominant culture in society understood is there's no logic, there's no stages. And just because there's no logic doesn't mean it doesn't make sense still. Like it makes sense that it doesn't make sense. I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't know how to
It's a
say.
little existential,
Yeah.
but
Well, for
totally.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're
Yeah. I
talking about.
dead people, I have conversations.
Yeah. It makes sense and it doesn't make sense. I mean, you're saying you wish larger culture society understood there's no logic to it. Like somebody who's never experienced any significant losses, like how else would you explain that to them that there's no logic?
Oh God, it's so hard. I've tried to have these conversations with pretty significant people in my life. It's created a lot of disconnect and
Mm,
divide because I think they just want us to feel better, right? They just wanted me to feel better. They didn't want me to be suffering so much and trying to explain that this is just how it is right now, and I don't know when it's going to change or how it's going to change, and there's might change and then go back, and then
mhm,
there's no going back. It's just like a swirl. I think it's nearly impossible to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. And then once they experience it, they get it
mm,
on a level that you like don't want them to get, but you do want them to get. Like I'm glad that they understand, and I'm
mhm.
so, so sorry that they understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right that there's that even somebody who wants to understand
Yeah.
so deeply maybe won't until they experience a significant loss. And that's, something I talk about a lot on these episodes. Just one of the foundational reasons that this is so fucking lonely
Yeah.
is like, who do you turn to, right? And if the people closest to you or people who've not experienced significant loss
Hmm.
is maybe the best that they're trying,
Yeah,
exacerbates how
totally.
fucking alone you are.
Yeah,
And yeah, it is hard to explain it.
yeah,
And I wish there was a way too that it wasn't just you just have to wait until someone that you love dies.
yeah. I mean, I think if it was more integrated to our way of life,
Mm,
there are cultures where grief and rituals and all that stuff surrounding death is more part of just daily living, from a young age. And I think that if that was the case, then we would more understand it because we would have experienced that
hmm
throughout, and it wouldn't make it would still be hard, right? It would still be sad and hard and all the things. And I think it would make it more, I don't know, like not easy, but like expected,
hmm
We deny death so hard in our
Oh my gosh.
our dominant culture that it makes it so jarring. I
Yeah.
mean, there are definitely right jarring things, but
Both and,
yeah,
right? I mean, even if we were in a culture that talked about it differently or more openly and it wasn't taboo, right? Those like death, grief, and taboo, those words are associated with each other, which is fucking wild to me.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to die, and you absolutely will lose people in your life
Right.
to death. That's
Yeah.
true.
Right.
And then to say that it's also taboo just rocks my world a lot of the time, even just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, we, even if we had more conversations and openness about it, yeah, significant loss, unexpected loss will still be jarring
Yeah.
and fuck you up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I don't think there's any part of me that wants grief to be easier because there is something so, I don't know, like deeply real about being in that rawness of grief. It's almost like you're more alive, which, yeah, I don't know, it feels very present when I can, like, thinking back on being in like raw grief. I felt very present in the here and now,
Mhm.
in a way that you lose when you're just going through daily life.
Yeah. I'm chuckling. You said raw grief, and it made me
Yeah.
think of like, yeah, like
Yeah.
cheerleading
Yeah.
grief on,
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
but
Yeah.
raw grief.
Yeah.
It's my new favorite
Yeah.
thing to say now.
Yeah.
Because it actually is what you're saying too, unintentionally.
Yeah.
It's like cheering grief on or cheering the fact that we have feelings
Yeah.
and we're feeling so deeply um, is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And it's part of it.
Yeah.
And there's no bypassing it. Maybe temporarily,
Yeah.
like band-aids, but
Sure try. It doesn't
Mhm.
does not work. I don't
No, I've not met somebody yet
know.
that's figured that piece out.
Mhm.
So dad died from complications of alcoholism. And then you said there was a period there where
Yeah, the people didn't die.
the people didn't die.
Yeah,
That's so
I mean,
nice.
there's other, yeah, it was lovely. I mean, I had my own grief around, like, I think getting sober,
Mm-hmm.
some grief and loss, when you're losing this. And then in 2018, my mom's husband died of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was expected. It was also more quickly than I think was expected. And that was hard for me, mostly in seeing my mom. I knew Jerry, but he was like in my life later, and they were together for about 10 years. So he wasn't like a dad, but seeing my mom go through that and watching her just like what that looks like was hard. Um, and then I remember saying to my wife that this is hard. But when my dog Annabelle, who was my soul dog, who I got 3 months after I got sober, or maybe less, when Annabelle dies, I'm going to be fucking broken.
Yeah.
Because I figured she was the next being in my life that was going to die. Because she was already older and having some issues.
Yeah. And just wanting to honor like Annabelle's
Yeah.
death and just even the conversations you were having with your wife and with Annabelle
Hmm.
around like her purpose. I've probably shared this before, but my dog Katie, I also believe is my soul dog, and I
Hmm.
adopted her just a month and a half after my mom died,
Hmm.
as my grief dog.
Yeah.
And she had her own like trauma and grief in her life, and I felt like we were meant to help each other through
Hmm.
our grief. And she's still alive. She's 11. And it was this feeling of your purpose is to help me through
Yeah.
my mom dying and assuming that nobody else would die, at least significant in my life
Right.
for a while.
Yeah.
And, just the way I thought the world was supposed to go. I was 27 when my mom died, and I was young, and not many of my other closest friends had lost people. And I was like, it'll be a while.
Yeah.
Right. And she'll be here. And then when my sister died, one of the first things that came out of my mouth when I got the call that my sister had died is I looked at my dog, I looked at Katie, and I said, "You cannot go anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't know you had another purpose
Yeah.
to serve, but like now we have another death, and you need to help me through this." And I have anxiety on a regular basis of when she dies. I'm already pre-heart broken about it. I'm having anticipatory grief about it.
Yes.
And so I just want to, take a moment to just like honor that because I think in grief over animals. And I think a lot of people minimize it and don't give it any energy. And
Hmm.
you experience the loss of your soul dog, and
Yeah.
I will at some point, unless I die before her.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know anything because nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
But Annabelle, just want
Yeah.
to
No,
name her.
she's the love of my life. For sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I think she saved my life in a lot of ways, right?
Mhm.
Because she was this ball of unconditional love when I was struggling so much in early recovery. And, you start feeling all the things when in early recovery. And once I just focused on her, then I'm out of that, And so she was, yeah, significant in my life. She went with me everywhere, for a long time. And the anticipatory grief was big with her. She was declining towards the end. And it was fucking hard because I had to make the decision, right? And so that was really heavy. It was really hard. It's hard to even talk about just because it was hard to make the decision. It was hard to watch it happen. The day did not go as I wanted it to. And that was in 2023. And at the same time, my wife's dog, who was a much smaller dog, Annabelle was a 50-pound pitty, and Lily was like 20-pound little long-haired Chihuahua that we thought would live for a long time. They were about the same age, probably 14, 15. And Lily got really sick.
Hmm.
And so we had both of these dogs that we were caretaking Annabelle for a long time. We were carrying her around. It's like all this stuff. And then Lily, we had to decide. Basically, it was less than a week later that we decided it was time for Lily to be put out of her suffering.
Off
And
my
so,
heart.
yeah, our house, it was heartbreaking because our house, it was like half our family was gone. I mean, like dogs are important in lives and for queer community,
Mm.
especially queer community that doesn't have kids. It's our dogs, our children. I don't like talking about it like that, but they are our family,
They
right?
are a
They're our
family.
family.
Yeah.
And so half of our family was gone and it was so quiet and so hard. And so, yeah, today is actually the 2-year anniversary of getting our dog Billie Jean, which was sooner than I think we thought we'd get a dog, but it was like so quiet and so empty that she came into our life when we needed her, and it's been a great with grief dog, and bringing just constant joy and silliness. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing
Yeah.
about both Annabelle and
Yeah.
Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah, super important.
And then in 2019, my brother was killed in an avalanche. That I was broken in a way that I was very unexpected and life changing. It's changed,
Not.
I think, my molecular
Mm.
levels of things and just how I am in the world, how I show up, what I think about, how I act, what I say, all the things. Yeah.
Mhm.
He was on a ski hut trip with his family, his wife and their daughter, who's 4 at the time, and their teenage son had stayed home the weekend. They were on a trip with another family couple and a kid similar age who they had recently made friends with. And so they skied and we skied around all weekend. It was a long weekend. And then it was the morning they were leaving that my brother, Aaron, and Will, the dad of the other family, went to do one more ski in the sunrise. And I guess Will went down first, stopped partway down, and then my brother was coming down. And Will saw the avalanche happen, tried to yell at my brother. My brother, of note, he had lost hearing or had tinnitus in one ear from a number of years before. He's not sure why. And so it's possible like he didn't hear because of that. So, anyways, they did have like beacons. Will found him, pulled him out, started CPR, and then went back to the hut to get help. And they did CPR for a long time. And yeah, he did not survive. Uh,
So sorry.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have chills just
yeah,
thinking about that visualization.
yeah. Even though I wasn't there, anytime I have to do the fucking CPR training, it's like
Uh,
triggering and traumatizing. Little better now, but it's like
mhm.
definitely hard.
Well, I think it's naming the vicarious trauma
Yeah.
that's part of it. Very different, but similar when I'd found out how my sister had died and how my brother-in-law had found her. Um, for months, even probably a year, I felt like I was there from hearing his experience with
Yeah.
it. And I feel like I was there because of what he had shared. But it's wild because I think some people who've never experienced trauma or grief
Hmm.
don't realize that
Yeah.
that can be a thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, you weren't there,
Yeah.
but it fucked us up
Yeah.
of what happened at the end.
Yeah. And I feel like I remember right after, like after it happened, I had to do like one of those trainings, like on the unit
Oh
at
my
work.
gosh.
And I
Bad
told
timing.
the manager, like,
Yeah.
and she was very understanding and just talked me through it. And I noticed now I just like deal with the training anyways, but try to avoid being the person that's actually doing the thing.
Mm,
Because I'm afraid that people aren't going to understand, you know?
mm.
And I have to suss out whether I want to deal with that.
To
Like,
deal with the telling people and then people
not understanding
not
and having to
understanding. Yeah.
be like assertive or advocate or whatever,
Hmm.
like I want to be an agent of change around talking about grief, and sometimes
Hmm.
it's exhausting.
You have to pick and
Yeah.
choose. So it is exhausting
Yeah.
because even though we're carrying in our bodies forever,
Hmm.
and we know, then taking a step forward and saying words out loud to another person
Hmm.
digs other things up, and how are they going to respond? Am I going to have to manage their response or have feelings about their response? And so, yes, being an agent for change and also picking and choosing when
Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
How did you hear that he died?
I was actually, at the time I was working on call and was supposed to be working the night shift that night. And so I was home trying to take a nap at like
Mm,
4 in the afternoon in the guest room. And my wife came in and woke me up. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to sleep?
mm-hmm,
And she was like, your mom's on the phone. Aaron is dead. And I was like, I don't understand.
mm-hmm,
And I got on the phone with my mom and she told me, and I remember I just kept saying, I don't understand.
mm-hmm,
I don't understand. Don't understand over and over and over again.
mm.
Um,
Wow, I'm also thinking about your wife having to be the one to tell you that.
my mom must have tried to call me, but I don't remember there being a missed call. She might have called my wife first
Mm,
because my wife is good at a
mm,
lot of things, and maybe that felt easier. I don't know. Yeah, that is heavy for her to
mm-hmm.
have told me that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I remember when I got the call that my sister had died, it wasn't, I don't understand, but similar. It was just what? Like what?
Right.
What? Like
Hmm.
what are you saying? Like what are you saying right now? I just kept saying what over and over again because I was like, I couldn't compute the words that were coming
Yeah.
out of their mouth.
Right.
So confused.
Yeah, so confusing. Because, I mean, I knew he was going on this trip, but like, I remember reading in I don't know why I read the avalanche report, or the like
Mm,
report from the folks afterwards, but it was about the conditions and all the stuff that I didn't understand. But the percent grade of the slope in relation to the snowpack and all these sciencey things I didn't understand, but it was like just slightly risky. And it said in the report that both skiers were risk averse. And I think my brother had become significantly more risk averse since having the kids, right?
mhm.
He was definitely someone that liked to, I would not call him an adrenaline junkie, but he liked to be outside, moving his body, doing fun things, and being on adventures all fucking time. But he was not one to do something super risky. It wasn't something I worried about with him.
Like him dying in an avalanche was not something that you anticipated based on his lifestyle.
No, for
Yes.
sure. I mean, I think there are some people in the world that could be anticipated, because
Yeah,
that's,
their
but
lifestyle. Yeah. So with the other losses and deaths that you've experienced, did anything feel different to you with that loss?
I think the other ones to that point, like I said, were more expected in some ways, not as surprising.
Mm-hmm.
This one was like, just like a arrow in the heart or like a gut punch. It blew my world apart because it was so unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So like out of order. There's
Mm-hmm.
this writer, Megan Devine, who writes about grief and teaches writing classes on it. She talks about it in relationship to her husband who drowned.
Mm,
So like him dying at that time, like parents are supposed to die, and then
yeah.
like that kind of thing. He's older than me, but I still think he would have, like, all things being equal, he might have outlived me anyways. Yeah. So it was just really very sudden, life changing.
Again, like confusing
So
and
confusing.
not
Yeah.
the way, like you said, things are supposed to happen.
Right.
I'm doing supposed in quotes, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. No, I mean, nothing about it was how it was supposed to be. I mean, he was younger than my dad
Mm,
when my dad died, and that is my brother was 48 when he died. My dad
mm,
was 56, and that's just fucking bizarre to me
yeah.
because he was so healthy and took care of. He was a yogi. He was very in shape, opposite of my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think something that is really important to talk about and knowing what the day is today.
yeah.
I'm seeing a few different times already as we're talking, Maya, is this what we call grief math,
Oh, yeah.
right? And doing the calculations, right? And I saw it a few minutes ago when you were talking about your niece of, okay, how old is she? And if she's this old now, and I know my brother died this year,
Mhm.
how old would she have
Yeah,
been? Do you want to talk about what today is?
yeah. Today is May 8th, which is my brother's birthday. He would have been 55 this year. He's 8 years older than me, which was significant when we were younger. I think our relationship grew as we got older because the age difference didn't matter as much. But I was just thinking the other night that, like, I'm 46 and I'm turning 47 this year, and that, like, at some point I'm going to be older than my brother ever was,
Yeah.
barring anything happening, and that's really, yeah, grief math. So weird.
I was thinking
Yeah,
about that the other day of, I know it's going to be weird when I bypass the
yeah,
age my sister was when she died,
yeah.
and knowing that, yeah, now I'm older than she ever got to be.
Yeah. And I feel like that's been something I've struggled with, worked on, talked about with therapists and stuff, is that because they're not here, it's like I have to fulfill that. I need to do more, be more, like, be all the things he couldn't be in this way that is, like, so fucking unrealistic and, like, not
Yeah.
me, like it's not me. And so, like, this benchmark is so high, it's
Mm,
unattainable. And so I regularly feel like I'm failing because he was a mentor, a dad, a very significant person in my life who I looked up to so much. He was not perfect. People often become more perfect in death. He was someone I very much admired. So trying to be him
mhm.
or, like, fill in for him in my family feels hard and important and impossible. So many things.
So much pressure.
Yeah, there's so much
Mhm.
pressure. And so, like, tying that back to today being his birthday, I want to make sure I'm honoring him in ways that feel good and trying to do that without putting too much pressure on making it perfect. Because I've done that in the past around his birthday or the anniversary of his death. And
Mhm.
then I'm just disappointed in how it goes or myself, which is, like, not helpful.
Yeah. Whether it's birthdays of the people that have died or their death days or Mother's Day, Father, right? These like
Yeah.
days throughout the year
Hmm.
that feel really hard. And it's interesting for me, I feel like with my mom, I've gotten to a pretty good routine of what those look like
Hmm.
every year. I've been doing actually the same thing every year on my mom's death day. I go to the beach every single year, which is at the end of August, and usually go camping. And her birthday, which was just a few weeks ago, she really liked German food. So I usually go to like a random German place. She loves sauerkraut, and so I hate sauerkraut,
God.
but I'll like eat a little bit of it to honor her. And because I'm in a routine, I don't think too much of it. Not that I don't feel it, but with my sister, and she's only had two death days and 2 birthdays since she's died. And
She's just a baby.
she's just a baby grief. And I still feel so fucking
Yeah,
confused. But like,
totally. It's math.
I still feel this pressure of not doing it right, or I'm not honoring her enough. And I know logically, right? Logic again, there's not a right or wrong way to do it. But there's been one or two, even, I don't know, it was a death day or her birthday, where I had all this anxiety about doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day came and I was just almost like paralyzed with, I don't even know what I want to do. And I just would do nothing. And then I would feel a lot of guilt and shame
Right.
afterwards of
Yeah.
like, I mean, I thought of her that day, and, people in my life and my therapist are like, it's fine. And also, it just, I want so badly to have a routine of, okay, I know I do this, this, and this every single year.
Yeah.
That feels good for me, and to honor my relationship with her. And initially, I really thought her and I, we would make pasta together. That was our thing. And actually, before she died, I was starting a side business called Pasta Therapy. And I was making pasta. I was doing some events, and she was part of my inspiration. And we actually, I think the last time we talked, it was me telling her about an event I did, and she had just sent me stuff for my birthday of some pasta cookbooks and like kitchen equipment for the pasta, and talking about how next time we were together, we would make a lot of pasta. And then after she died, I threw myself in to this company of making pasta and selling it at farmers markets. And I knew it was a grief response.
Yeah.
And I kept myself so fucking busy.
Yeah.
And I burned the fuck out too.
Yeah.
And so after I did that for 8, 9 months, I was so tired of making pasta.
Yeah.
And I actually have a lot of like sadness around that too, because that would be something really natural of on her birthday or her death day. I would make pasta and feel connected to her. But it's like I went too hard in those 8 months that now, like, the idea of making pasta, I'm like, I'm fucking tired of doing it. Yeah, so the pressure is normal.
Yeah.
And I know there's not a right or wrong way to do it. I just so deeply want to find something that feels right, in quotes, for me.
Yeah. No, totally. I think you kept saying the word routine, and to me, it's like a ritual, right? You want some ritual to honor
Mhm.
the person, the day, our feelings, like something that just marks the significance of that. And I love that you have something for your mom, that like going to German food and eating a little sauerkraut and going to the beach. So today for my brother, my wife and I have gone to sushi often on his birthday, because he loves sushi. I remember the first time I had sushi was with him, and he told me that the wasabi was avocado.
Oh my God.
Because that's what he did. Classic older brother move. So we're gonna go to sushi. Just something simple. My plan is to go on a walk up in the woods with my dog this afternoon, just to be in nature a little bit. I think there's been a lot going on at this time in my life and in the world and stuff. So like what I am doing with you, that felt like a marking an important, significant thing for today. But it shifted over the years. And marking the day he died, the first year I went to the coast, we rented a beach house, had invited friends out, and we had our own little memorial for him. I had some of his ashes, so we put in the ocean, we read things. We brought a bunch of candy that we ate on all weekend, and that felt really important to have my own thing with my community here, as opposed to the memorial in his town. That was also important to be at, but this felt important as a container for my own grief, my personal grief. And then the next year, my wife and I went to the coast, and that was nice, but it didn't feel like the same ritual. Third year, I felt like something had shifted actually. So I went skiing with
Wow.
some friends. I took one day, I went up to Mount Hood and took a lesson, and it was the worst weather. It was sideways,
Oh my
snow
God.
hailing, cold. It was just the sky, and I hadn't downhill skied in a long time. And I was never a big skier. I'd go cross country skiing when I lived in the gorge, but like, anyways, it was miserable, but it was also fun. And it was like this kind of shifting my relationship with snow, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
fucking huge.
yeah. And then I went to Hood River and stayed with some friends, and then we all went up the next day to Mount Hood and skied together, and it was a bluebird day. It was gorgeous, sunshine, beautiful. And we just did run after run after run on this Vista trail, Vista Ridge, something. It's beautiful. You go up to almost the top and ski down. And I just remember skiing with my arms out and just like flowing and it just being so fun and feeling so good. And it felt like this shift in my grief, right? And I think I wrote something about it. Doesn't go away, it just changes color and texture. It was like things were literally brighter. I mean, it was January still. Right? The last January on the coast, it was like cloudy. And then this one, it was like sunshine and joy. And it just felt like this shift, which was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I got to have for this little bit of time before then, like my wife's best friend, June, was killed like a month later. And then I was like, well, fuck, here we go again.
Here we go again.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I just got very emotional
mm,
hearing that and hearing about, yeah, you reclaiming this narrative with being on a mountain and snow and skiing. It's just so beautiful. And then, hearing about like the freedom you
yeah,
felt on the mountain and your arms open and like on your face like that. It's just such a
yeah.
amazing visualization. And like you said, I'm sure represents um, a transition through
Hmm.
grief. We often say, I think most people who've experienced significant loss agrees that there's no like end to grief, but yeah, it shifts and evolves and changes. And
Yeah.
yeah, what a powerful story of you doing something different on that death day
Hmm.
and having a really beautiful experience with it.
Yeah, it
Mm.
was so awesome. And it felt so good. And I was like, I'm a skier now. Have I gone skiing since? Absolutely not. But it
Doesn't
was,
matter.
no, it doesn't. But it was really beautiful. And I was so grateful to those friends to go. And I think my brother would have loved to hear about it. He was really glad I got to have that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. And then someone else in your life.
yeah, my wife's best friend June was shot and killed at the Normandale Park shooting
Oh gosh.
on February 19th in 2022, which was again another just like super traumatic
Hmm.
loss that I carry a lot of vicarious trauma around, or was not there. And I know I've been told what happened, the story, what she said, how it happened, all these things that is just heavy. And like, then that was a significant loss for my wife, so she could understand more about loss and which is awful. I don't want her to understand that, and it's also connecting.
Hmm.
It's yes and both.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I've found, and my most significant losses have been my mom and my
Mhm.
sister. The other people that I've known that have died in between or since, and I'm not even talking about just like acquaintances, of a friend, but like
Mhm.
people who mean something to me, but maybe aren't as present in my life
Yeah.
or we lost touch. I recently was telling my therapist, I like feel hardened
Hmm.
and not like emotionless and like I still care deeply, but it just feels like this is just life now. Like people just keep dying and nothing is guaranteed. And
Hmm.
like when I get the text or I get the news or see it on social media, and I'm just kind of like, fuck. And also, here's another one.
Yeah.
And then I also get really, I don't know if envious is the right word, but it's when I meet people in my life, whether friends, new friends, even clients I've worked with who really haven't had loss
Yeah.
and they're my age or older, I'm like fucking confused by it. And like,
Hmm.
why have I known so many people now in just the last like 6 years that have died? And I'm like, how are there still people in the world who haven't like lost significant people? And it feels confusing to me.
Do you wish that was you?
Yeah, that's the thing I think we've tried to work
Yeah.
out. Have this reaction of like this will be you at some point, and you just don't know yet. Like you don't have all the information
Right.
of what life is going to throw at you.
Yeah.
Like you just don't understand
Right.
that people are going to start dying at some point.
Right.
And that's not what I say to those people, obviously.
Yeah.
But it is a feeling, and it's like wanting them to understand.
Right.
But also, of course, like you said, like I don't want them to, because it means people are dying
Yeah.
in their life. And then I think I get sometimes can kind of fall into self-pity around like, why me?
Yeah.
Know a lot of people in my life who just haven't had significant loss yet.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck do people keep dying in my life?
Yeah. It's like they get to walk around in this naive state
Yeah.
of like ignorant bliss,
Yeah.
right? And it's not fair.
It's not fair. Yeah.
And I just noticed myself, we had like 5 people die within
Yeah.
5 or 6 years in some pretty traumatic ways, which did not allow for any sort of integration. I think I was getting there with my brother that year we went
Yeah.
skiing, right? And then there's another one, right? So it's like, um, I don't know that there's a part of me that wishes it was different though. Like I wish those people were alive. Of course I wish they were not dead.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it feels hard, but I don't know if I would take those experiences away from me. I feel like they've been important. They've brought me where I am, It's like addiction and recovery brought me where I am. Do I wish I had all that addiction? Not necessarily, but recovery has been real significant and has pushed me on a path that I'm on now where I'm doing work that feels important and connecting and using skills that I have and personal experience and with my therapist, trying to recognize the things that I can offer or bring into work with clients. I've experience with grief and loss, addiction and recovery, gender identity and fluidity, with like supporting people with chronic pain. Ideally, I would get to show up for other people that have those experiences and hold space for that and can hear them and understand in a way different than someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
So, yes, in some worlds, all those people are alive and everything's great, and I'm naive of grief.
Yeah.
And who would I be then?
Yeah.
Where would my life be? What would it be like? It's like would be unrecognizable, and that doesn't exist.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I think something, and it's come up in other episodes too, but for me at least, yeah, I can honor how grief and trauma has led me to this moment. And I have a lot of self-acceptance, and I like the person that I am, and I would be a different person if those things hadn't have happened. And some of these grief platitudes that people say, that's one I think people don't understand. And we had a whole episode about the idea of finding hope in grief. And it's not to say that I have gratitude and hope because these people have died in my life. And like I'm here now because of the experiences I've had. And both can be true, because that what feels sometimes for me needing to feel a certain way about something really for the comfort, I think, of other people around you, versus like, no, I will never be like happy or grateful that these people have died prematurely in my life.
no.
And yeah, I have no idea who the fuck I would be if those things hadn't have happened.
Yeah.
And that's been a secondary loss for me that I've gone through, and it will keep during different phases of my life. But I grieve the person that I never get to be because I experience the hard things I have.
Right.
And that like makes me sad that there was a version of me somewhere that got to do other things instead of having a really, really fucking hard few years where I had to just like survive.
Yeah. I mean, right, we know so little about the universe, right?
Right.
And we just don't get to know.
Side note, my last year, the book club I'm in, we read Dark Matter.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's on Apple TV now, and I started to, and I didn't like how they changed things. Did you read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that book fucked me up.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
And I think we read it like maybe a year after my sister had died. And yeah, to be like, oh, maybe there is another version of this where my sister's still alive.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another version of this where my mom's still alive or I'm somebody different. And sitting with that
Right.
is, I can't talk about the
Yeah.
science part of it because,
Yeah.
he's a science fiction writer.
Right.
But reading it, I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, when they picked a sci-fi book, I was
Yeah.
like, not expecting to have such a strong
Yeah.
grief response
Yeah.
to it. Great book, highly
Yeah.
recommend it, but
Totally.
fucks
Yeah.
me up.
Yeah. No, I actually like sci-fi, good sci-fi, but
Hmm.
I'm going back to because you mentioned platitudes and like
Yeah.
having this gratitude or whatever. I was just thinking about the shit I wish people never said. Oh, he's in a better place. Like, fuck that.
Hmm.
Or this one person said, like, well, at least he was doing something he loved. Like, he could have done something he loved and stayed alive. No. So I think that having gratitude, yeah, toxic positivity is, I mean, I think when I get real dark, even the idea of hope feels so disconnected from reality. I don't think that's a healthy place for me to sit. I've worked for a long time on finding balance, right? Because I can swing real hard to the dark side, but also with all the trauma, it's much easier. And I know that noting things that are good in our life is helpful for our mental health,
It's
right?
good for us. Yeah.
Right. So what I started at some point on my own and then now share with some people in my life that we go back and forth with this list of not so shitty shit is what I call
I
it.
love it.
But noting things that are not so shitty. And that could be like, I have a safe home, or it can be something like getting to talk to you about grief
Yeah.
or like a nap with my dog on the sofa, finishing school. They can be significant things or little things.
Hmm. And right, hate to tell you, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
You've named it something that feels connecting to you, and it allows you to do the work
yeah.
without naming it the cliche gratitude list.
No,
Yeah, we can have gratitude for the lives we currently have, while also hating
right.
what's happened.
Yeah, wishing things were different. Yeah.
So I want to talk about, you and I both have connected over getting tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
To represent different aspects of grief.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to share about what your process has been for some of yours?
Yeah. After my brother died, I went to Colorado and stayed at his house for a couple of weeks with his family. And this moose showed up outside of their house and just was like chilling. And they were in a place where they were around, but usually across the river. But this one just posted up and camped out in the yard. And one morning, my nephew woke me up. I was like just getting light out and brought me into his mom's room where they were all, and the moose was at the window. And my niece was touching the window. We thought it was like my brother incarnate, right? So I got this antler to represent that moment that felt really significant and important. You're like I think I'm trying to find connection, just trying to find them in the world still. So I got that one, and then I have another one that my sister and I got that my brother taught yoga, and he drew these stick figure of the poses, and she had told him at one point that he thought of the three of us as a triangle pose. So we have a triangle pose stick figure drawing of him on my wrist. And then my family and my nephew is a big fisherman and he would go fishing with my brother who is an environmentalist, like vegetarian environmentalist, but encouraged his son going out and doing things. And they would go fishing for brook trout, which they would call trook brout, which is our last name, trook brout.
Cute.
And so we got this brook trout with Yosemite Valley
Wow.
landscape in it because they lived in Yosemite and we had some family time there. Yeah.
And you have Annabelle?
I have Annabelle on my thigh. Yeah. I wanted to get her before, and my wife was very adamant that I should wait till after she died for some reason. But so I do have a Annabelle. She was the first color tattoo I have, the Annabelle on my thigh, and I put her on there because she would go mountain biking with me, and so if I was riding my bike, I'd be able to see her there, kind of riding with me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Something I really like, and I talk about a lot, like how are we integrating
Yes.
these losses into our life moving forward with the acknowledgement of they're going to be with us forever. But how do we acknowledge them? Whether it's how do we honor them? How do we, keep them with us. And I know for me, tattoos has been a big part of that. And again, this pressure I at least put on myself for different dates. My therapist, she was like, doesn't actually need to be on the day.
Hmm.
Even if it's a few days later or a few months later, if you think of something, you don't need to wait for this day. And I think without connecting it at that point, that's what I do with the tattoos. I mean, the moose tattoo I got on my sister's first birthday after she died, which was only 2 months later. And that felt really important, her first birthday without her. And going backwards to secondary loss, I can't even remember the story of this, but as long as I can remember, my sister and I, we called each other Moosey.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know where it began. I don't remember the story of it. It's just been as long as I can remember. Every card that we write to each other, every post-it note that I saved of hers from even when I was like a kid, a teenager, like love Moosey.
Right.
She would draw sketches of little mooses and send them to me, and I have all this moose memorabilia that her and I would buy for each other. But I don't know what the story is, and she's the only other person that would know.
Right.
And so there's loss in that. But
Yeah.
got this moose with a little heart. Through my mom's cancer, I was getting some tattoos. My whole half sleeve is like my mom grief. And after she died, though, and I was adding things to it, her ashes are in the tattoo, which I really love that my tattoo artist was willing to do that. Not all tattoo artists are willing to do it. I thought that was such a cool thing to do with ashes because, right, that's something else in the grief community that a lot of times people look at it, what do I do with the ashes? And that's just such a small part. And I've spread my mom's ashes in different places, but I still have some because maybe I want to do something with it another time. But her being in my tattoo, I think is one of the most meaningful things that I've done for me in integrating and carrying her with me moving forward. And when I got a tattoo with a raven, which was one of my sister's favorite birds, and is something that I also get to see and remember her by. And so I guess all that to be said. These days I still like to try to do something that honors them, but I try to take the pressure away because I do other things and I have permanent things on my body.
Right.
That's for both my mom and my sister that will be with me forever.
Yeah.
Just a physical representation of them here with me.
But yeah, and I mean, right, it's so fucking cheesy, but true that like we do carry them with us, right? There are parts of them that are part of us forever because they have impacted us, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew my brother for 40 years, you know, and I am how I am because of him, and my dad and June and Annabelle and you know, like we do carry them with us. And I think having the reminders of tattoos, like I don't have one of my dad for my dad, and I've been thinking about what to get, and right, trying to find the perfect thing. I don't think there is a perfect thing.
No.
I just get one.
Yeah.
You know.
And then if you think of another one, you get that one too.
Yeah,
You have lots of skin
I've
left.
got lots of skin left. It's true. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you think is important that you want people to know about this process?
I think I mentioned this before that just after he died, like it put something in me to be like this agent of change around grief and loss and death and trauma and being vocal about it, right? Not hiding it, not denying it, not saying it's okay, you know, like, being really open and vocal about it and talking about him or talking about his death and other people in our lives and the compounding grief of that and how that's significant and impactful. I think that's what I want most, right? In shifting the culture around grief is just to fucking talk about it and acknowledge it and not be so afraid of it and not feel so much shame. I think there's such amount of shame for grief, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, right? There should be zero shame in feelings.
Yeah.
And especially around grief and loss.
And like no matter how long it's been.
No matter how long it's been.
Yeah, because our society don't talk about it. Yeah. And then there's so much shame of like, I should be over this. Why am I still feeling this? It's been 30 years, or I can't talk about it because other people won't understand I still feel it. I just wish we could eliminate all of those judgments and other people's perceptions of what this is supposed to
Right.
be, in quotes.
Yeah. No, I feel very fortunate that I have people in my life who are so understanding and caring, holding space. I have like a friend who specializes in grief care. People will show up right after someone dies and then they fall off. She just
Yeah.
kept showing up, like bring little gifts, every so
Yeah.
often, or just be like, hey, she texted me yesterday. Hey, it's
Mm-hmm.
your brother's birthday tomorrow. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Or other friends that have had
Mm-hmm.
big losses that we can talk about it in a way that's different. So I felt very fortunate that I have that community and also I created that community. I mean, I think that community has been so important and
Yeah.
significant in my life in so many ways for so many transitions
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like, really, that is a significant piece of not so shitty shit, that
Yeah.
has been present for me because I can talk about it and it feels like it helps me feel more capable of talking about it in places where it's not people I know super
Mm-hmm.
well. That's not like as easy, but I want to be that person that can talk about it.
Yeah.
So other people can feel like they can talk about their losses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely becomes a role we have with
Yeah.
people, right? I'm like the grief person now.
Yeah.
Did not ever see that on
Totally.
my future bingo card.
No,
But here I am,
for
and I have
sure.
a podcast now. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Same. I'm the same. But like also, of course, I'm going to show up,
right.
as I'm able when I can with healthy boundaries.
That's well said.
Yeah.
Well, I just appreciate you so much being
Yeah.
willing to come on today and talk about your brother and on his birthday. And
Yeah.
I know that we were looking at our calendars and finding a day, and we're like, okay, the 8th sounds really good. And then you're like, it's my brother's birthday. And I was like, oh, like we do not need to do it that day. And what you said was, I think it'd be a really nice way to kind of honor him too. So I'm really grateful that you were willing to do that and share his story and your process through grief also.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah. No, thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about him and grief, and I'm grateful that our paths have collided.
Thanks, Maya. So that's it for this season finale of Nothing Happens for a Reason. As I said at the beginning of this episode, to stay in the know, follow the official podcast Instagram page at nothing_happens_for_a_reason. Subscribe to the newsletter, and please, please, please leave reviews. Those reviews help others find our community through algorithms. And if you are interested in sharing your story on a future episode, visit the website at nothinghappensforareason.com and send me a message. This is goodbye for now, but I will be back soon for season 2.